The member for Indi seeks the call.
Madam Deputy Speaker, I seek indulgence of the House to make a statement.
And is indulgence granted? Yes, thank you. And give the call to the member for Indi.
Thank you. So, hello everybody, and thank you for coming. So 6 years ago, when I rose to make my first speech, the gallery was full. My community was engaged, supportive and present. And today, as I rise to make my last speech, it's much the same. Back then I quoted Margaret Mead, "Never doubt that a small group of committed people can change the world. Indeed, it's the only thing that ever has," and how true that is. So to the people of Indi in this parliament, thank you for enabling us to be the change we want to see. And there is so much more to do. So beginning with the end in mind, my call to action is our work is not yet done. Don't get mad, get elected. So just a short summary. Since that first speech, what have I done? I've delivered 525 speeches, 15 private members' bills, asked 74 questions without notice, moved 35 motions, made 18 amendments to legislation. Over 4,600 school children from my electorate have come to this place. 225 volunteers have worked in my office, 4 ANIP interns, and on average 15,000 constituents a year have sought help, support and advice from the Indi office. And community members, more than I could possibly count, have offered support, advice and shared their wisdom. And I have grown in confidence and courage. But at the beginning, after agreeing to stand as a candidate, I was so nervous, worried and anxious. And then we won by magic 439 votes. And now I was really nervous, worried and very anxious. But I was determined to deliver. I really did want to prove that my community had done a good thing and the right thing in backing me. It was deeply personal. There had been a fierce competition for me to get here and to stay here. It required enormous emotional courage, strategy, skill and a huge community effort. And the expectations were enormous and heavy, and I took the responsibility of truly representing my community very seriously. So I am so proud to stand here today and say, we have survived the ordeal and hopefully set a benchmark in the process. That my courage in my community has grown in confidence and courage. And we have delivered. And I use that pronoun we very deliberately. We have delivered confidence in democracy. We have delivered engagement in democracy. And we have delivered things. We've delivered better governance. We've delivered pride in community. And our voice has been heard. And to the major parties, to my colleagues here, just a short message. Independents do get things done. And every time any one of you says the opposite, the words of rural and regional Australia will remember these words. The people of rural and regional Australia will remember these words. Tony, independents deliver, marginal seat matters. Just looked what happened in Indi. We have 1/3 of the vote. Let's use it. So today our community is more confident, and this is important for investment, for jobs and regional growth. Confidence is important for our young people and our families who in ever-increasing numbers are making the decision to return home to North East Victoria. Engagement across all levels of the community has grown, with more and more people stepping up to leadership positions, and I'm delighted that the community, and especially our young people, are now more engaged. They are signing up, turning up and speaking up in far greater numbers. And this active participation in democracy is paying dividends in our community. And right across the electorate, things are also getting done, and we have significant investment. Over $235 million for the North East Rail Line, 52 mobile phone towers, numerous regional infrastructure projects, the regional deal for Albury-Wodonga, Wodonga Junction Place, Toolangatta redevelopment, Wangaratta Aquatic Centre, Alpine Landscapes, and the controversial Wangaratta Hospital, $20 million. And a special thank you to Dan Andrews and the Victorian Government for coming to the party on that one. Infrastructure jobs in Benalla, Mansfield Stadium, the heavy truck bypass, Kinglake Streetscape, Corryong Memorial Hall and Pool, and there's many, many more things. But to my work in this place, the commitment I gave was that I would strive for good governance, and I think it is evidenced in the parliamentary work we have been involved in, and that I mentioned briefly at the start of my speech. I'm particularly proud of the efforts in changing the rules for vulnerable witnesses and the rules governing gender dysphoria. Other highlights include the private members legislation for the National Integrity Commission and a code of conduct for all members of parliament, recognising that our community expects more of us, its elected representatives. And I was so proud to work with Griffith University and Transparency International Australia and the Accountable Roundtable to introduce this legislation. A Senate committee is due to report on these bills tomorrow, and today in Melbourne, Transparency International released an assessment of Australia's national integrity systems. And I call on all sides of everybody to give the required resources to do this well. It's unfinished business. A private member's bill for an office for regional Australia made sense. Working with a member for Mayo for a minister for young people made sense. Representing my communities on refugees made sense. And my support for the refugee Medivac bill was the right thing to do. But it's unfinished business. I'm proud of the inquiry into regional development and decentralisation, and I note Senator McKenzie in the House. And looking forward to that report, Senator. And I note the inquiry into regional higher education. I note the Minister for Higher Education is in the House. Looking forward to that report, Minister. Yes, the work is unfinished. On climate change, we haven't been able to do as much as we wanted in this space, but we did manage to save the Australian Renewable Energy Agency, ARENA. And we did manage to save the Clean Energy Finance Corporation, that infrastructure that was so important and was going to be done away with. But climate change and its mitigation remain serious issues in my electorate, and I know in Indi it's going to be a climate change election. And so many pieces of this, so many bits of this work have been seconded by my colleagues in the crossbench. So a special call out to the member for Mayo, Rebecca Sharkey, to the member for Denison, Andrew Wilkie, to the member for Melbourne, Adam Band, and occasionally Bob Catter, the member for Kennedy, has also seconded my amendments. And I'll come back to you guys a little bit later because you haven't done so much seconding. I'll turn to that. Yeah, there's a hierarchy. In my first speech, I committed to making a public statement in this place to recognise and acknowledge past mistreatment of our Indigenous community, and I'm proud to say that I did it in my first year, in my first term. I also committed to improving public transport infrastructure, access to telecommunications and health services, and work to reduce red tape that hinders the growth of business in our cross-border regions, and there's been significant progress in all those areas. I committed to bring the voices and community of Indi to Canberra, and what greater example of success have we got than today? I committed to a vision for a prosperous and caring community where businesses grow, agriculture flourishes and where everyone can reach their potential. And we have made great progress. But now to turn my words to comments of acknowledgement, honouring and thanks. And clearly words are inadequate for some things that we know are so deep and lasting. So you know who you are and you know what you've done. So to my colleagues in this parliament, members and your staff, I do appreciate the warmth of the welcome that you extended to me when I first arrived. It was beyond all expectations. I have received your friendship and professional support, and I want to say thank you very, very much. Everybody in this House has added value to the work that we have done. And I want to make a special mention to the many ministers, some here today, who have visited Indi. We have noticed and we appreciate it. Thank you. And to all the other wonderful people, their staff, but the ones who make this place function, too many to name. But I want to say thank you to everybody else for making our jobs here so much easier. I can't name you all, but you're there in it. And now to my special friends on the crossbench. We have all worked together, long nights, big days, and together we've reflected the diversity of Australia. We've worked with great respect and generosity together. And talking to the crossbench and of the crossbench, I want to make a special call out to the people of Australia to pay attention to these extraordinary people and the work done here. Thank you. Thank you. And clearly our work is not yet done. So in giving you my blessing, may you grow and multiply. May you all win your seats with increased margins. May you continue to be the voice of reason, the voice of the marginalised and the voice of the forgotten. And to my staff, past and present, many of them here today, and I have to say looking resplendent. I acknowledge your dedication, your persistence, your tolerance, your loyalty, your tact, your diplomacy and your courage. You have been my and Indi's arms, legs, eyes, ears, heart and our soul, and we thank you very, very much. And to my family, now at this stage can my family please raise their hands? So to my family, it's a truism to say I need you and I'm better because of you. But thanks to each and every one for your personal support, the phone calls, the debriefs on the long drive home from Canberra after the huge weeks. To the Nibblings, can the Nibblings raise their hands? And to the Nibblings for their special help and advice, particularly during the marriage equality debate. I really appreciated your wisdom. And thank you for turning up today, because I know you've travelled great distances. And to turn to the communities of Indi, those here today and those listening through the broadcast, you heard the call and you rallied. We could do better. A huge thank you. Your belief, your trust and your courage has made this crazy, brave experiment possible. Thank you so much. Thank you to the media. And in particular, I would like to do a call out to media of rural and regional Australia, and particularly in my electorate of Indi. Without fail, you turned up. And those post-parliamentary Friday presses in Wodonga have become such an important part of our routine. We had regular catch-ups, and your desire for accuracy continues to make Indi a much, much better place. And now let me turn to the future. The community took a huge risk in voting for me, not once but twice. However, today it feels less risky to vote for an independent and more like a sane, sensible alternative for the 1/3 of the population that lives outside the metropolitan areas and for those who live in metropolitan areas. So to the people of Indi, we have called the government to account, and we, all of us, need to continue to hold the next government to account. It's important that Parliament join the dots on regional and rural Australia. Regional communities are ready to work with government, and the government needs to take the time to listen to us. That's why, through the Regions at the Ready report, I've been advocating for a new approach to regional policy, strategic planning and a strengthening Regional Development Australia network. And we need a white paper on regional Australia, one that is developed with communities and with regional Australia. I make a special call out now to the young people of regional Australia. It was the young people of my electorate who got me here. They nagged, they plotted, they harassed me. But they also saw the potential. They dragged me into the digital age of social media, and they provided me with the constant inspiration for me to be my best self. To the young people of regional Australia, to the young people of Australia, on behalf of this Parliament, we love you. We want you to be part of our democracy. We want you to be part of what we do here. And sadly, you're not here in any way, shape or form in the numbers we need you. We know you've got wonderful lives. We know you do creative and innovative and amazing things. But we want to see you in government. And my call to the young people of rural and regional Australia, to all Australia, is don't get mad. Get elected. And for every organisation in Indi, I say, look at your leadership. Where are the young people? Are you passing on the baton? And talking of getting elected, I extend an invitation post this speech to all of us to attend the launch of my sister Ruth's book. Ruth's book. It's called Get Elected, and it's a step-by-step campaign guide to winning public office. It's 1 o'clock in the Queen's Terrace. A great gift to extended family and friends who complain. You can just say, don't get mad, get elected. Here's the book. Yeah. And there's a special discount for Indi people, I think, Ruth. Is that right? And for me, it's time for the succession plan to be implemented. And I'm really looking forward to Sunday when Helen Haines launches her campaign in Wodonga to be the new independent candidate for Indi. And I wish her well. Helen is a nurse. We love nurses. Helen is a midwife, and we know they deliver. Helen has a PhD in public health, and we know how much we need good input into public health. She's an exemplary candidate, and I ask my colleagues here to extend to her the same warmth and collegiality you have given to me, assuming she wins. Helen is the change we want to see. Respectful, engaged and clear in her motivation. She's a community grassroots candidate, and we say that we're different horses but we're from the same stable. And now to the end. The single and most important lesson for me is about political and community engagement, is to be part of a team. It's to turn up, to sign up for a job and speak up, to put your hand out to others and give them a leg up. So, in closing, I have run one leg of this relay, and the independent banner carries a precious legacy for our future. And I'm not going away. I'm merely taking a step back as I pass the baton on and allowing others to step forward. And I leave you with this quote from the back of the toilet door at Mittagundee. Maybe you might join me. The future is not some place we are going to, but one we are creating. The paths to it are not found, but made. And the making of these pathways changes both the maker and the destination. Thank you.